Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the northeast corner of the map playing in red, we've got marinelord playing as the Japanese, and his opponent in the southwest corner of the map playing in blue, we've got Puppypaw playing as the Order of the Dragon. Welcome everyone to Gorge, that is the map for today, and today we're going to be featuring two new civilizations from the Order, well, the Sultan's Ascent. I'm about to say the Order of the Dragon. Now this is a great civilization, the Order of the Dragon, I've got to say. I mean, I think there's a lot to be figured out with the new civilization, and the Order of the Dragon is a bit more of a tricky one. They have a lot of, it's only just one small difference that they really, well, a couple of differences that they have. They're not like the most drastic ones, but it seems to be making a lot of difference. Like, you've got the villages that are costing more, they take a lot longer to train, so they take 4 seconds extra, 24 seconds rather than the usual 20. They cost 60 food rather than the usual 50, and they do gather 25% faster. But the issue with the Order of the Dragon is if you lose villagers, if you lose units, it's like a travesty. It's a disaster. Like, you're losing a villager for the Order of the Dragon, that's a large chunk of your economy, comparatively speaking, anyway, for the other civilizations. Now, speaking about the other civilizations, we've got the Japanese being played by marinelord, and I've got to say, like, I know that the Byzantines and the Japanese are seemingly probably the two most popular civilizations, and on a lot of my YouTube videos recently, I've been asking your kind of opinions. And seeing as we are live on Twitch as well, I've got to ask, what do you guys enjoy the most out of the new civilizations? I'm going to be a bit controversial. I used to be sitting on the fence and saying, oh, I'm not so sure. Is it Byzantines? Is it Japanese? I'm a firm favorite of Japanese now. I mean, it's so strong, and they get free farms with the Kira storehouse. What's not to like? I also think that the town centers are absolutely cracked when they get up to the Shogunate Castle. It's not cheap. It's a very expensive tech, obviously. So, you have to work your way there. But the fact that they don't get castles or keeps in the castle age is kind of negated by that fact that if you can upgrade the town centers, it's incredibly strong. It kind of gives you that kind of reverse of vibes of the Delhi Sultanate, right? Delhi Sultanate getting the village fortresses with their keeps, turning the keeps into town centers. It's almost like the Daimyo Manor, the Daimyo Palace, and the Shogunate Castle converts the Japanese town centers into keeps. It's quite a sight to behold, those rockets. In any case, talking about landmarks, we already talked about the Kira storehouse. Getting those farms free every 45 seconds, and you can imagine how much of a fan I am of that. But the Minework Palace is a landmark for the Order of the Dragon. I think in many ways chosen out of, maybe just because the other landmark isn't as good. Like, the other landmark is the Arkan Chapel, giving you a 10% buff on the gather rate of the villagers. But when you factor in, I don't know, it just feels like a downer, right? Compared to the Arkan Chapel for the HRE, getting a prelate inside there, 40% gather speed, it just makes this Arkan Chapel look a bit silly, doesn't it? But, obviously you have to factor in the villagers themselves. They gather 25% faster anyway. I mean, it'd be pretty broken if they got prelates, right? So, it is what it is. And interesting enough, I think the Japanese are very flexible as a civilization. We've seen a lot of different builds. The shinobis coming out from the Kokka Township. Not today, though. Not today, I'm afraid. I would say for the Japanese, that's one of the little... I'd say one of the little downers of them. The shinobi is such a fantastic unit. It feels a bit sad to have it blocked by a landmark, which... I mean, when you have the Kira storehouse, it's such a popular landmark for good reasons, right? It makes the farming transition, well, like free, which makes it very interesting and very nice. But it does mean you miss out on having the shinobi and all the abilities that it brings, and that is a bit of a downer. But in any case, a very versatile civilization, bringing you lots of new mechanics with the Onobugeisha, the Onomusha, and I think have a lot of unique aspects to the civilization for sure, especially in the form of units. Speaking of units, it looks like Puppypaw back at home with the Order of the Dragon. Like, their units are very expensive, and so it can be very difficult to get them out early enough. So we'll see what levels of aggression come out for the Order of the Dragon. I think it's an exciting time as a caster for watching the games for the Order of the Dragon, because I don't think necessarily it's a fully established strategy. Like, every time I watch the game, recently I've been watching players do very different things. And it's like it's going to be second town center for Puppypaw. That has been a common strategy, actually, for the Order of the Dragon. And a lot of it's going to be about defending early on, right? Because, of course, it takes a very long time for that economy to come online. But once it does, for the Order of the Dragon, it can be very, very scary. Right, so we're going to get Takizaki, which is actually the second of what I like to call baby wheelbarrow for the Japanese. So the Japanese don't actually get wheelbarrow, but they get baby wheelbarrow and then the secondary baby wheelbarrow. The first one, I think it's called Tawara. And the second one, Takizaki. Interestingly enough, not on berries at the moment. So, certainly just focusing on the farms for now. It's going to be a second town center play here, though, as you can see, for the Japanese, going quite heavily on stone. The question is, where does he go? Probably the deer camp, right? kind of makes sense. It can be a nice position here on the deer camp, berries and wood. So food is not going to be a problem for the Japanese for a very long time. I think it's something that's really nice for this civilization. The fact they get the free farms, because farms are expensive, guys. Like, you know, they don't come cheap unless you're the English. These guys are expensive at 75 wood a pop. Speaking about expensive, the second town set expansion for the Order of the Dragon is going to be pretty expensive. Like, it's going to take some time. And a lot of resources for funding this expansion. Now, the map Gorge, though, interesting enough, both players are playing this relatively passive compared to what the match actually allows. What the map allows is very central, direct access to each other through the sacred sites, and it's not a lot of distance to cover. Now, speaking of distance, well, the Japanese units are pretty fast on their feet, especially the Onobagesha, especially the Yumi Ashigaru, the archers, the Onobagesha coming out from the barracks, most likely. And the Onobagesha is actually one of the interesting units, I feel, for the Japanese. They have this one-tile range and an incredibly fast attack speed, by the way, and fast movement speed as well. So it makes them a very nice unit for the Japanese. I think generally shakes up the way that melee fights engagements happen. Like, often you have like one focusable surface area of one front line versus another front line, but the Onobagesha, they kind of extend that front line for the Japanese to like a secondary front line just right behind. Always feels like they're having double the action, double the damage being dished out by the Onobagesha adding to the fight. Especially with the pathing, right? Because it's very difficult if you don't have a unit with extra range like that. Your melee units, if they can't engage, they're going to go round to the edge of the fight and take it, whereas the Onobagesha just fight over the friendly unit's shoulders. And we might even see it today because we do see the Onobagesha coming out. Now, these guys are super fast. Well, I should say ladies, actually. These are women running around, and there we are, 1.5 tiles per second. That is not slow. When you factor in a scout, I think it's 1.62. Yep, 1.62. That's pretty fast. So getting an outpost though, Puppypaw to defend, and I think it's going to be a theme, right? It's going to need to do that. It does have access to the emergency repairs if he needs to, which he already actually used. I think the scout hit it a few times. But yeah, certainly the Onobagesha can dish out a lot of damage, especially in the late game, right? They can really be spammed out. We shall see if this game even gets that far. I mean, the thing is that... Wait, is Puppypaw really going for a second town set of fast castle? That seems super greedy, but I guess in some ways marinelord is being greedy himself. He's going to go to the castle age himself pretty soon with this number of villagers and gold. Unless he's looking to spam out a lot of samurai, which could be an option, but... I mean, with that number of villagers and gold, it's going to be a fast castle, right? It's got to be. It's got to be. Coming up to berries, which will be... I got to say, the Japanese, they shouldn't have any problems with food. Like, because he's got Tekizaiku, that's going to be making the berry bushes incredibly fastly taken. Alright, well, geez, there's going to be a fast castle here. Holy smokes. I mean, will Puppypaw be able to afford stuff, though? That's the thing. He does have 2 town centers, to be fair. Let's go up with the Burg Palace. Now, I love this landmark for the Order of the Dragon, I've got to say. It's obviously very different from the HRE. So the HRE get a 400% attack, a 400% production speed, rather, boost on their Burg Palace, which would be totally, like, ridiculous for the Order of the Dragon, because, of course, the expensiveness of the units for the Order of the Dragon is through the roof. So this Burg Palace for the Order of the Dragon actually gives you a 30% discount, but also does produce 30% faster. So it's quite a nice balance between the two, I feel. It allows the Order of the Dragon to have that little power spike in the castle age. And I do wonder now, I mean, he's going to start producing units now, right? Surely. They've not produced a single unit. Holy moly. I guess marinelord did. He produced one. Going to go for the floating gate landmark to get to the castle age. Going to get the Yorishiro. I'm going to be working on my pronunciations. Yorishiro. That's a nice little bit of relic here for the Japanese. Going to be able to deposit that in various buildings, whether it be a production building, whether it be a forge. Getting you different bonuses. With the forge, you give you extra gold passively. On a production building, increase the production building speed of rate of production of the units, of course, by a good 200%, I believe it is. So there's that first Yorishiro coming out. And could also put it in the town center. I think that's where... Wait, is it going to go to the lumber camp? Okay, I've never actually seen it go to the lumber camp before. Maybe it's going to go to that forge at the back. Maybe keeping his army hidden here. Maybe in the archery range, which actually be kind of crazy, right? Because the Yumi Ashigaru usually train in 13 seconds. With the Yorishiro, it produces every 4 seconds. That's absolutely bonkers. The numbers are going to be coming out really fast. I mean, guys, 4 seconds. And don't forget this is a very cheap unit as well. This unit actually only costs 30 food, 35 wood. Actually getting some on the musha. Making them in 8 seconds? Jeez Louise. And this is such a great unit for the Japanese. It's basically like a mobile crossbowman on horseback, which is super cool. Going to be dishing out damage against heavy armored units, which the Order of the Dragon do love to get with the man-at-arms. So I think Puppypaw is going to struggle because, yeah, I mean, he's still going for Gilded Man-at-Arms. They're going to get absolutely wrecked by the Onimusha. I mean, they are pretty strong Gilded Man-at-Arms, but factor in the movement speed and the kite ability for the Japanese Onimusha should be absolutely fine. And the question is, where does the Order of the Dragon go from there? You might need to actually transition to archers, which is not a bad movement, because the archer is actually very strong for the Order of the Dragon. Does have an archery range. So we will see. Here come the man-at-arms going further forward, and yeah, Puppypaw's going to have to play very defensive, which is a problem, by the way. He's going to need to make sure his static defenses are nicely positioned, which they are at the moment, because he needs to protect his economy for sure. Can't be affording any raids coming in. Going to try and get Wallow. Shouldn't get any of the units. Will be sniped. I mean, the range of that is actually larger than the range in the Wallow, I'm afraid. Behind this, it should allow marinelord to get a lot of the relics. He's already got 2 in his grasp. Puppypaw did get 1 so far. Does lose the Honor Geisha. There's the Onimusha looking to snipe out Gilded Man-at-Arms. And I like the addition of the Gilded Crossbows, right? So I'm sure Gilded Archers could be a thing, but Gilded Crossbows do a decent job as well, for sure. You can see, like, it's just sniping things, right? This is where things become very difficult for Puppypaw. It's going to have a very static army, and like, I think he might lose one there. Does he lose that Gilded Man-at-Arms? Doesn't in the end, but very low on health. Does have the Sacred Site somehow, and I think obviously marinelord will look to decap that pretty soon. Heading out to the boar on the north, and this is very safe expansion of economy, right? Because Puppypaw can't really get out of his base right now. It's going to be very pigeonholed in, and that's not great because he does have 1 tile of gold in the south, but give it 10-15 minutes, he's going to need more than that. The Japanese marinelord has upgraded his town center to the Daimyo Manor. That would be giving an additional 25% harvest rate on the farms, but also giving it an extra arrow slit in the town center, but also increasing the HP of the town center, also giving it a villager. So incredibly strong bonus, an upgrade. You can see the ×2 range. Now, just factor in the fact that if he upgrades this to the Daimyo Palace, that gives an additional arrow slit, so that would be 8 × 3. Shogunate Castle. ×4. ×4. It's going to be incredibly strong. It's very difficult to push. Definitely not something I think you can really push without trebuchets and proper siege. Good numbers of rams. Obviously, we're not there yet, though. Right, marinelord going to be just walling up the gorge a little bit. Hasn't decamped that Sacred Site, surprisingly enough. Not just yet. But good military numbers here for Puppypaw. Not necessarily a mobile army, but he's got enough to defend it. Can I just say one thing? Like, I think generally with the Sultan's Ascent DLC, a lot of the... I mean, I think most of the skins are incredibly nice. But take a look at the armor on these guys. They've done such great work on the detail, I feel. Speaking of detail, the detail here is that he is going to be decapping that Sacred Site, and marinelord is starting to push forward now. The outpost will probably go down. I'm sure he's going to use emergency repairs, but that's only going to buy him some time. He does have arrow slits, to be fair, so he's going to push that way for now. Going to get a couple of mounted samurai, which is not the worst thing for Puppypaw, because he did have some crossbowmen earlier. Although now he's switched to archers. So that does become a bit of a problem. But as you can see, it's very difficult for the Order of the Dragon, right? He can't really push out, has to play very passively in his own base, because he just can't afford to push out at this stage. And that's a large number of units for marinelord, and of course it's going to get worse, I think. Purely because of the fact that he's got the Yorishiro inside the archery range, and he might even have it inside the other buildings as well. Let's see what he's got it in. He's got it inside the forge. You can see it here, by the way, this little artifact, I guess you can call it, on the external structure. Going to be focusing forward now, and it's going to back away for now. And I sense there's going to be a big fight coming in soon, but before we get there, I'd like to say a very big thank you for everyone with all the support, especially people watching live on Twitch right now and guys on YouTube. So just to let you know, guys on YouTube as well, I am starting to stream a bit more on Twitch live. So if you want to watch me cast live, it might be worth joining in a little bit and maybe search me up on Twitch and sign up and follow. I'll probably drop a link on the video description for that as well, just so you can find it a bit easier. But yeah, I really appreciate all the support so far, even if it's just liking the videos. It really helps in the YouTube algorithm side of things. We've had a lot of growth on the channel recently, and I've been really enjoying casting games for Age of Empires 4, so hopefully that will continue. Speaking of continuing, well, marinelord is going to start to continue to push on now, but Puppypaw's military numbers, they've really skyrocketed. Like 70 military, where the heck did that all come from? That's a lot of gilded archers. I actually worry for marinelord at this point. It felt like he's actually let Puppypaw boom away quite a lot, and now the military numbers looking pretty dicey. I mean, like, we were kind of expecting to see a lot more pressure, I feel, from marinelord, but Puppypaw's been able to boom away freely and hasn't been punished. And now he's coming out with 78 units, but these are Order of the Dragon units. These guys are absolutely crazy. 290 HP on a man at arm, 18 sword damage. This gilded archer's got 145 health. I mean, the Onimush have 80 health, guys. 80. The veteran archers have like almost double. He's also got a couple of these prelates going to be boosting up a little bit and healing up units that are weak. This is looking bad for marinelord. Everything's switched now. Like the military number production because of the Burgher Palace really helped out, but that's a lot of production buildings, but it's all in the front. And that could be under attack pretty quickly. Puppypaw going to start to engage. I mean, he might look to get a couple of rams out, but he might not even need to. He might just torch things down with the man-at-arms. But he might need to focus on the fight, though. There's enough for gilded archers here to take the fight against the Onimusha. Onimusha engaging. He's got to be careful here, not to take a suboptimal fight, because if he does, he'll be losing a lot of production buildings. But you can see the little shield on top of the units there for the samurai, negating that damage, the first shot they get in, and from melee or range. This is a huge fight here. This is a fight that actually maybe might win, and the Mangonel going to be coming out. Gilded archers do need to back away. A lot of the prelates do go down, and well, the Japanese with the production speed, they're starting to really push this back. Puppypaw heading back home. He can't take this fight. He's going to lose a couple of units on the retreat. Does have gilded archers focusing on the man-at-arms. Oh, the samurai, I should say. But the samurai going to be holding on for now. Looks like the Mangonel about to chase forward and dish out even further damage. Got a good hit on the archers, but the archers are tanky. They survive the Mangonel shots more than most archers. The Onimush are going to target them down. The samurai are going to chase, and this is looking bad for Puppypaw. All of a sudden, the numbers of units just ramped up heavily there for marinelord. Samurai going to chase, but good micro might be able to whittle down those numbers. Puppypaw needs to keep those archers alive, though, if he can. Onimush are chasing. There's attack notification coming at the back of the base. Just a bit of a raid. Not really nothing too expensive or drastic happening there. Puppypaw heading back home. Has to rethink and redraw his plans, battle plans, because the walls have been drawn across the line of the map for marinelord getting the sacred sites. This could be a potential sacred site victory. Does have almost enough stone for a keep. And that would be a very welcome keep to get a bit of map control, and could even decide to be very aggressive and go super straightforward. Going to be getting the Zornhau upgrade from the Minework Palace, the Gilded Lance Connector, equipping a halberd weapon that leaves a bit of a bleeding effect damage. 2 damage every second, which lasts for 10 seconds, so basically 20 damage every 10 seconds, over 10 seconds. A second Mangonel as well. That becomes a bit dicey, actually. You might have to get a couple of Springalds, because it's a very heavily infantry-based army, right? So it could be tricky for Puppypaw to deal with, but you can see he's playing very defensive. Like, it's very kind of snowbally, I feel, the Order of the Dragon. If you lose your army, you're kind of dead, because it's so hard to expend and so expensive to replace. Speaking of expensive and hard to replace, that's map control for you, because I mean, Puppypaw doesn't really have much of it. Now, there are 3 sacred sites in play for marinelord. Could be potentially thinking about going to the Imperial Age, because he does have a lot of gold banked up. Of course, had 4 of the relics. He's got 3 of the sacred sites. And I think generally Order of the Dragon is a very difficult civilization. I mean, you can see it in this matchup. It's tricky. But you get the feeling it could come down to one big fight that could snowball from there. Look at that, 110 military population. Now, don't forget, obviously, these units is not 110 actual individual units. These guys take about 2 population space each. So that plays a big role into that number. It's a bit deceptive, right? It's a very difficult situation going up against the Order of the Dragon. It's shaking things up a little bit. Just being able to like guesstimate fights and just see how they might go can be very difficult to predict at times with the new values of the units. But he's gonna have to head out at some point because the Sacred Site timer is ticking. Now, interestingly, it seems like marinelord spent the stone on the town center, the Shogunate Castle. So guys, these farms are 75% gather speed. It's absolutely insane. It's also going to go to the Imperial Age with a Tanegashima Gunsmith, which gives you 5 free tickets for siege work with siege units. And, you know, the Zutsu is one that comes to mind. Incredibly strong infantry siege unit, dishing out all sorts of damage. And Puppypaw might look to take a dive here. Does get a couple of shots with the mangonels. A pretty good one at that for the Japanese. And Puppypaw's going to have to back away now. Takes another mangonel. Well, that was a bit weird. Was that attack move on the ground maybe? Who knows? It's going to go around the north now. And Puppypaw going to have to be careful because his mangonels are following. marinelord is getting a couple of bannermen as well. Katana bannermen. That'll be doing well for those samurai. See, 18 samurai. There's that Imperial Age landmark. And Puppypaw might want to dive this now because he'd be a bit afraid. Like, he's not in the Imperial Age himself. And he's going to be out-teched. We shall see. He has that population capacity, to be fair, Puppypaw, so it wouldn't be a bad time. Mangonel deploys, but he backs away. The Ozutsu come out immediately there for marinelord. It's about to engage, and this could be the big fight that decides the fight and the match. The 2 mangonels deployed. They're going to be dishing out all sorts of damage on the archers, the gilded archers, but they are made different. They're absorbing a lot of that attack. A lot of the samurai going down on the front line. 2 bannermen are down and out, but their aura does last for another 30 seconds. The Onimusha on the back line do take out a lot of the man-at-arms. Not much of a meat shield here. Mostly ranged units in the form of gilded archers and crossbowmen, but there are a lot of samurai. The samurai are going to jump on that. Does have the scattered formation there for Puppypaw, but he doesn't have the numbers. He has to back away. The 2 mangonels still are on the field, and all of a sudden, Puppypaw is on retreat mode. He's going to have to try and kite away as best as he can. And he might just about to survive with a decent number, but the Onimusha might chase him back, and this is looking dicey here for Puppypaw. He's going to make the most of it, though, to be fair. And he should still get some good value out of them. Behind that, the population, as you can see, really drastically fell, and this is why it's so snowbally for the Order of the Dragon. And he taps out. He feels like he's beaten. He's up against an Imperial Age Japanese, and Puppypaw and his Order of the Dragon. The dragon has been slain on the Gorge. Hope you guys enjoyed the casted game on YouTube. If you did, do give the video a thumbs up. Maybe share it with a friend you think might be interested. Take care, and see you next time.